time to circle back to Waste Management, the largest trash collection and recycling company in America, with around 252 active landfills and 310 transfer stations. Here's a company that had been on a fabulous multi-year run, right up until Waste Management hit a wall this past April. Stock peaking just below $56, and then in part because of a surprisingly weak quarter, very unlike them, selling off down to $45 and change over the next few months. But when Waste reported again last Thursday, the company posted some terrific results, and the stock seems to have suddenly gotten its mojo back. Waste Management delivered a 4-cent earnings beat off of a 63-cent basis on in-line revenues, with management saying that its full-year results should come in at the high end of the previously issued guidance. The company's core solid waste business is stabilizing, and even though the recycling volumes declined, their operating costs declined by about 8% per ton. No wonder the stock jumped 3% the day it reported. Now it's rallied from $47.80 before the quarter up to $50.70 as of today. That's a 6% move in less than a week's time. Oh, and let's not forget the Waste Management pays you a bountiful 3% yield at these levels. So let's check in with David Steiner, the president and CEO of Waste Management, to learn more about the quarter and where his company's headed. Mr. Steiner, welcome back to Mad Money.
Hi, Jim. Thanks for having me.
All right, David, in that last quarter, I'm just going to quote from the conference call, new business in our commercial and industrial lines combined exceeded lost business for the first time in 3 years. How is that possible that mosaic has gotten better after 3 years of being tough?
Yeah, you know, Jim, really what led this downturn was the new housing starts and new business starts, and that really has an oversized effect on our business. And so it took some time for the housing market and for small businesses to come back. You know, a lot of companies, their volumes bounced back very quickly. It took ours a couple years. But now, as I said, we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. We're starting to see where we can move to positive volumes. And when this business model that we have moves to positive volume with our high fixed cost, you know, the amount that we can drop to the bottom line is pretty spectacular. So as we see toward the end of the year moving back to flat and then positive volume, that's just going to do more to add to our cost programs and our pricing programs. And we're going to have this thing clicking on all cylinders.
Well, which is the best way to try to look at Waste Management's future? Do you look at, say, the number of developments that Horton and Lennar are putting up, or do we look at the architectural billings numbers, which sometimes indicate good non-residential construction?
Yeah, I think they're both good indicators for us. And then new business starts is a good indicator for us. You know, when you think about the housing market, when you build what I call a tuck-in house and you tear down a house and build a new house, really doesn't create a lot of new business for us. But when you develop a new subdivision, not only do we pick up the residential customers, but we also pick up the commercial businesses that have to be built around that new subdivision. And so as you start to see new subdivisions springing up, as you said, from all the home builders, that's when you see our volumes really pick up. That's what we've seen, you know, starting to happen over the last 18 months. We expect to reach that tipping point of positive volumes by the end of this year.
Now, I know some of the analysts were concerned and didn't really flesh it out because it was kind of one-off, that a decline in oil drilling does have some negative impact on waste earnings. But I have to figure that a decline in oil and gas also means that you get new business formation and actually may balance out for you guys.
No, you're exactly right. For us, you know, it really doesn't affect our operations as much as people would think because we do use a lot of diesel fuel, but our fuel surcharge basically offsets any rise or drop in fuel prices. So for us, it's the overall economic effect that it has. And I would tell you, I think the overall economic effect of low oil prices is very good for the United States economy. I think that for us, that would outweigh any decrease that we'd see in drilling activity.
All right, Dave, where I live, I see people throwing stuff out in the waste, the blue containers. That isn't really recyclable, and they kind of do it, and nobody pays any attention. There's no policeman going down the beat giving them a fine, as there would be, say, in Germany, where they do green. If you put a green bottle in a brown bottle bucket, you're going to get fined. Can Waste Management lead an effort in this country to be a responsible recycler rather than the kind of haphazard recyclers that we are in this country?
Well, you've hit it right on the head. And we have to work with our communities. We have to work with governors, with governments. We have to work with customers to make sure that everybody knows how to recycle. You know, we've put a lot of money into infrastructure to recycle. The problem is that some materials don't recycle as well as others. So everyone, you know, we like to use the example of the garden hose. The garden hose has metal on it and it's plastic. So you say, well, let's go ahead and throw that away. It must be recyclable. And what happens is that garden hose gets wrapped around our equipment and it shuts down the whole plant. And that drives our processing costs up, and that makes recycling less profitable. And then you couple that with a dramatic drop in commodity prices. Not only is oil down, but copper's down, metals are down, cardboard is down. A lot of that's driven by a slower Chinese economy. and we all know that that's going to continue to slow for some time. So when you have lower commodity prices and higher processing costs, that's sort of a double whammy that affects profitability. We can't affect the overall market. We can't affect the Chinese economy, but we can affect our processing costs by making sure that people recycle often, but recycle right.
But I am now in the anomalous position of hoping that you don't win recycling contracts in big cities, particularly cities that are not known necessarily for doing a pretty good job among the citizenry of separating garbage.
Well, you know, we need to work with those communities and say, look, if we can educate your citizens, they can do a better job of recycling. We can charge you less, and everybody likes that business model. It's still a business model that works. It's just a business model that needs to be tweaked. And then, you know, municipalities need to realize that in circumstances where we have really low commodity prices, there might be a possibility that they have to pay a little bit to recycle. Not a lot, but just a little bit. And so what we're trying to say to our consumers and to our communities is, look, we know that recycling is right for your community. You know that recycling is right for your community, but it also has to be right from a long-term business perspective so that we can continue to invest. And so if we can work together to make sure that during these times, we're working to make sure that we continue to make money. And then when commodity prices bounce back, we can once again go to paying our communities to recycle. You know, over the long run, that's going to help overall recycling rates, and that's a good thing for the environment.
Absolutely. Last question. What's the strongest area for combined residential, non-residential in this country right now?
Wow. You know, for us, our bread and butter business has always been that small business container. Right. You know, what we call sort of a 4 to 8 yarder twice a week. Mm-hmm. That's the backbone of the American economy. That's the backbone of our business. And that's what really drives our business going forward. We think those volumes, again, are going to turn positive by the end of the year. And we've got some great leverage with our fixed assets. As you said at the beginning of the piece, our fixed asset base is better than anyone else's in the industry. Now we just got to layer volume across that. And we see that improving during the back half of 15 and getting even better into 16.
Well, if you get some volume, you get price. I know that's the magic formula for waste management. David Steiner, thank you so much for coming on Mad Money.
Thank you, Jim.
My kind of stock, good yield, good growth, nothing crazy, just consistency. Stay with Waste Management, stay with Cramer. Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.